everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and I can't remember the last time that I've been this angry. I'm just gonna leave it here, and hopefully by the end of this video I can show you something good. From the moment we first laid eyes on our house, we knew the roof was due to a complete renovation. Luckily, unlike the disaster that was our first floor, the wooden structure of the roof was actually in great shape. But don't worry, there were plenty of other problems. There's a leak. There's it leaking. Over this entire edge, it's leaking. And you can already see some water forming on the side as well. And then here is the biggest mess. We're renovating one half of a 110-year-old farmhouse. The other half belongs to my sister, so for big projects like this roof, we team up. So the building remains authentic. The same style, the same materials. Now, because our roof was such a big and urgent project, we decided to work with a professional roofer. And we talked to several of them, but one of them definitely stood out. They had very good reviews online, they had a very interesting price point, and they were open for discussion. But most importantly, they could start in August. Yes, I said August. We thought we were so lucky to have found them, but oh boy, were we wrong. But we'll get there. It was a family business run by a roofer, let's call him Sven, and his wife, the administrative superstar, let's say Karen, for no reason particular, of course. Sven claimed he and his team would do all of the work themselves, which is funny because we didn't see him once, until the day he completely ruined the roof, of course, during what we came to call the day of the hurricane. A metaphorical one, but that's for later. Now let me take you on a slow descent through the worst part of our entire renovation. It has hollow promises, ignored deadlines, and a lot of miscommunication. And me slowly losing my mind just having to think about it. Good times! Great, just sign here and we'll get things started. Awesome, we are really looking forward to this. Perfect, we'll see you in October then. Wait, October? Didn't we say... Oh, did I say October? I'm sorry, I meant November, of course. So, November it is then. Yep, late November or early December. No worries, definitely this year. Probably. Every time a starting date came close, we check in, and every time we got a new excuse. Oh, it's because of the bad weather, or we can't start because someone of our team's ill, or sorry, another project ran late. We're sorry. Our urgent August renovation finally began in February. But hey, luckily it would only take 2 weeks, they said. So yeah, instead of 2 weeks of renovation, it took them a month. On the bright side, we managed to use all of that extra time because of the delays to go on a scavenger hunt for leftover roof tiles. And by leftover, I mean roof tiles from other renovations that they didn't end up using. One tile costs about €4 if you buy it new. We paid on average €1. So that was a pretty big deal, especially considering that we collected nearly, I think, 1,275 tiles. Not bad, right? But there was only one problem. I don't know if it's that clear on camera, but these are the two different colors. I don't think it's that big of a problem, so it can look like a roof with speckles. We are convinced that it's not gonna be that big of a deal, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait for the result for that. Next week they'll start renovating our roof, because that's not something we're gonna do ourselves. What we will do, however, is move our tile collection a bit closer to the house. So we have a lot of help today, some with 2 legs, but most of them with 4. Jag kommer en dit. we've learned that there were several color differences. Apparently there were different shades that we didn't know of. That won't be a problem, Karen told us. A good randomized pattern actually looks nice. And it didn't stop there. Agreements about window sizes, the position of the windows, or the materials used, all of them seemed to be forgotten, lost, ignored, or just wrong. They've managed to miscalculate the size of our square roof. It turns out to be way bigger than they first thought. So that does explain the competitive price point a bit. And during the first week of renovation, they noticed that they messed up again and they needed an additional 15 square meters. And yet, after they were completely finished, so we have been putting aside the tiles they didn't end up using, so that's about right there. It looks like a big pile, but in the end, like, I know, I totally understand. You order a bit more just to make sure that you have enough for tiles that break. No worries, that's perfectly fine for me. Something I don't really understand is that we have a lot of these left over. And these are the special ones, though they are way more expensive. And they are used to overlap on the sides of the house. So, yeah, you don't want too much of them. And you might be wondering, how much is too much? I've measured, and this is about 10 meters that's just left over. Karen, tell me, where did you get those numbers? How did you order that many? And here is another example. When the roof is open, could you use your crane to lift our bathtub to the first floor? Sure, no problem. We do that all the time. Got to the first day when we've arrived with the bathtub. And Sven, of course, is nowhere to be found. So we call Karen. We never said that. We don't do that. Ever. We'll make an exception though. For 150 euros. Already annoyed by their lack of communication, we paused. We'll figure out another way. Now here in our garage we have this freezer, and it was plugged in with a long extension cord that ran all the way to the house. And on one fateful morning I came over to get myself a small little treat, only to discover that the cable had accidentally been unplugged, probably while they were installing the scaffolding a week earlier. Our loss were prepped meals like spaghetti sauce, mussels, soup, about 2.5 liters of ice cream, and worst of all, my cinnamon rolls. Now, I know it's not the end of the world, but tossing those cinnamon rolls, that's something that will haunt me for the rest of my life. Anyway, enough ranting. For a moment, things finally started looking up. The worst seemed to be behind us. I don't want to be all negative because the two roofers they sent were actually great. Once I walked them through all of the miscommunication and the wrong information they were given by Sven and Karen, they did awesome. Later, Karen let it slip that those two roofers were actually subcontractors. Now, for us, that's absolutely not a surprise. But clearly it was something she wasn't supposed to reveal, considering Sven's repeated claim, "We do everything ourselves." We didn't care all that much because honestly it was such a relief. These guys were precise, respectful, and true professionals that were proud of their craft. In contrast to... During the week, the subcontractors worked steadily. On weekends, we tackled smaller jobs around the house to save them time and further enhance the end result. Okay, it's Saturday, early in the morning, and we have this one weekend to do some small fixes on our roof and also clean all of the copper drain pipes and stuff. So it's somewhat cleaned when it goes back up, and it will be nice and shiny, or at least a bit more shiny than it is at the moment. but that's gonna take a lot of time and it's very dirty, so I'm not sure how long it will take. I guess we'll have to see. So the entire roof will be renewed except for the top tiles of the extension part. So these dirty tiles next to a very nice roof, that would look very stupid. So I'll have to clean those with the pressure washer. Hopefully they will become very clean and it looks premium as well. Another thing we need to do is reattach those top stones, because it's a very nice detail, but all of them are loose. So since now we can easily reach them, we'll have to reattach those properly.
Ik ga vandaag een goede receptje maken, een koper receptje.
We found a cleaning recipe online and you can simply make it with some home products. Just salt, lemon juice and vinegar.
Mooi.
So we're attaching the mixture to the copper. We're gonna leave that for about 30 minutes. And then you can see the salt turning bluish. And that's the oxidation coming off the copper. Allee, denk ik. I'm not a scientist. Ask a scientist. It works. Do you think the copper will be even more bright than your beautiful copper eyes?
Dit gaat erover.
Oké.
Ja.
Je zit dat goed aan het doen, Sjaar.
Nee.
Blij met het verschil?
Ja.
Moeten we tonen?
Voor alles schuurwerk.
Tada! Dat is echt een super groot verschil, hè?
Ja, ja. Tot dan.
Is het de moeite waard?
Voor één keer in 20 jaar te doen.
To keep it shiny for longer, we varnished the copper. That way, the roofers could definitely continue with very, very shiny gutters. They insulated the roof properly, they gave thoughtful suggestions, and they really had an eye for detail. Since we opted to insulate outwards, a small gap had formed between the bricks and the new roof tiles. Instead of just slapping on a board to cover it and call it a day, they suggested trimming it in a way that showed off the beautiful brickwork. A clever and aesthetic solution. Finally, we're starting to see some progress. And it looks good. It looks very good.
Ja, mooi.
Happy?
Ja. Van de voorkant wel.
Ja. Don't ask about the side of the garden, but this one looks good. Before we knew it, the entire front side of the house was done, and we are amazed. It does look great. All that was left to do, aside from the roof of our extension, was the entire backside. They needed to place roof tiles and place the last few windows. Just when we thought it all was coming to a smooth end, disaster struck. All of a sudden, Sven decided the roof renovation had taken long enough, and for the first time since the renovation started, he actually showed up. This is the first time we saw him, and he brought his entire team to put it in his own words, take over. Luckily, I was working from home during that day, and to me it seemed like they had one very simple goal. It was to finish this renovation quickly and move on to the next project. But boy, everything that could have gone wrong definitely went wrong. And they finished the entire backside of the roof in one day. But just the way that it's done, that's just messed up. Let's briefly go over their to-do list for that day. As they started, I rushed outside to check if they had the correct information, and of course they did. We sent several emails about it, we even had a meeting. And yet, they were about to install the new windows. They even cut through the vapor barrier and were about to saw into the newly installed insulation. But completely the wrong position. They were even planning to install 3 windows, while we only had 2 left to install. We needed several outlets, things that go through our roof, and we needed a vent for our boiler, for example. So I showed Sven exactly where it should go. His response: "You should have told us that before the renovation even started. This was never communicated." "But we did," I said. "And you told us to have the plumber supply the correct type, which we also did." And I gave him the new vent. Then I noticed they hadn't reinstalled the roof vents on my sister's side. When I pointed this out, Sven replied, "She should have said she wanted those. Well, she already had them. So put them back, please." Annoyed, they had to open the roof again to reinstall them. 6 months earlier, we agreed to their suggestion to keep the mixed color tiles for the backside and evenly spread them there, and keep the nice and uniform ones for the front side. It sounded very reasonable to us, so we agreed, of course. But apparently, Sven forgot. "We're not going to bother with that. We'll just separate them. The dark tiles on the left side, the lighter tiles on the right side. You won't notice after a while." I disagreed. "They should be mixed randomly. No clear patterns, no clumps, just evenly spread." Sven was clearly annoyed by me sticking to our idea. "We'll make it work." I let it go for the moment, but later that day I saw they hadn't mixed the tiles properly. A big patch of the same tiles in one spot. I asked, "Hey Sven, can your guys fix that area?" "Yeah, after the windows." They finished the windows. "Hey, about that patch, already done." "No, it's clearly not." "Okay, we'll fix it in a moment." That moment never came. In total, I asked 3 times. Now, some of my friends call me Switzerland. Calm, neutral, somewhat cheesy, and diplomatic at all times. But as it turns out, even Switzerland has its limits. When I saw them packing with the roof tiles just completely wrong, I pulled Sven aside, away from his team, to ask a 4th and final time. Suddenly, it was my fault. Apparently, I should have bought all new tiles. "It's impossible to mix these properly," he claimed. The argument escalated to how I was being unreasonable, and how he'd be happy to drag us to court for that. "Oh yeah? For what exactly?" As if I was placing the tiles, as if I was about to wrongfully place the windows without thinking. "Well, Sven, what did you think? Oh, vents? Do you want us to reinstall vents? I thought I said it was optional. Oh yeah? Maybe the ventilation can just be blown into the newly installed insulation. I guess that's fine, is it?" Why haven't you fixed the patch of tiles yet? The tiles are wet. That's probably why you think they're not mixed properly, because they look different, because it's wet, it's raining. "Fine," I said. "Let's just wait until the sun is out. Maybe you're right, and I'd be happy to admit that. But if not, I'll ask your subcontractors to do it for you." And I guess Sven's pride got hurt, because no, that won't be necessary. You'll see. And see we did. The next day, Aurélie, my sister Charisse and I really noticed the sheer scale of the damage they dealt. Not only with the roof tiles, but the entire roof. They ruined it. To quote my sister, and I totally have to agree with her, our new roof looks worse than our old roof. And I'm not even joking. Whilst the two subcontractors came back to finish the roof of our extension, we sat down and started compiling a formal complaint. Now, we wanted to solve the issues and not really escalate them, so we made a file detailing everything that had gone wrong and invited Sven and Karen to meet us for one final time to find a fair solution. And in true Karen fashion, she immediately responded by saying that she already knew all along what kind of people we were and how we were taking advantage of them. They were the victims, and how I was personally responsible for everything that had gone wrong in this renovation. I found that a bit funny, and a bit weird, and a bit silly, honestly. Anyways, let's go over some of our complaints and their written response, shall we? Our first and one of the biggest points is that just the general finishing around the windows is not done properly. It's not really that neat. The cuts of the tiles are crooked, some tiles do not seem to fit properly, and they responded by saying that this is due to the lead slabs and you can make it better, but then you have a chance of leakage. They would leave it up to us, aesthetics or waterproofing. Then the next point, one of our windows, our newly installed windows, cannot be finished with plasterboards for the time being because it's currently rubbing against a newly placed wooden beam when opening. Then the next point is that our newly installed chimney is not straight, it's crooked. And they responded that if we wanted to hang straight and we want the lead to be closed around the tiles underneath it, it would be practically impossible, but they will do their best. And then with the same vent, but on the inside, the opening in the insulation is way bigger than it needs to be. Fix it with spray foam. Basically, all of the lead slabs around the windows and everywhere else do not fit properly. We assumed waterproofing is more important than aesthetics. Despite of repeated conversations during the installation, the different colored tiles are not sufficiently mixed. A clear L shape is visible over the entire roof's surface. And they replied, it can be adjusted for 65 euros an hour per person. Then also they added some points of their own. Regarding the self-supplied pans, we do not know from which year these were made. There may be deviations in the dimensions. And then they also included a technical file of what the tiles' measurements are. Okay, fair enough. They also stated that the messy look might come from the different colored tiles and also the wave of the roof. And the wave in our roof is the result of the old structure of our roof. So yes, there is a wave in the roof, but the front side also has that wave. And why is the front side perfect and the back side not? So in conclusion, they can't finish our roof properly because it is technically impossible, or you have to choose between waterproofing and aesthetics. It looks messy because there is a wave in the roof, and it's your fault because you brought your own tiles. And if you want us to rearrange the colors, you'll have to pay for it. Now, I have to give them some credit because, much to my surprise, especially at the time, they fixed everything. No, they asked the subcontractors to fix everything for them. And the subcontractors did such a great job. They did a lot of damage control. The things that were technically impossible, all of a sudden were apparently possible after all. And we are happy with the end result. And the crazy thing to think about is, it only took them 2 hours to fix everything. So have we been arguing about 2 hours of work? Every story has two sides, I guess. We could have been more thoughtful with the color when buying leftover tiles. That would probably have helped. In the end, we refused to pay any of the extra costs they tried to charge for fixing their own mistakes. And when the time finally came to sign the final agreement and close this chapter, I turned to Karen and asked, "Be honest, you truly can't see the difference?" Without blinking, she replied, "No, I don't." Well, luckily we're happy now.